Hello, I'm going to show how to make this little standard poodle. And I got the idea from, I'll put a link to her channel. She did a really super job on hers. Hers looks fantastic, professional level. The measurements that she displayed did not exactly work out for me. So I did make my felt a little bit wider. At any rate, I also made a larger one. I just basically took 3 times the measurements to make the larger one. So the best yarn really truly needs to be the Bernat yarn that's fuzzy. This is kind of sort of like a fuzzy yarn. It was as close as that I had at the time, and I think it turned out okay. However, really and truly get the Bernat fuzzy yarn, because that way you can trim it and really give the true poodle look. And you look at the link in the description of this video and you will see the difference in the yarn that it makes. But I thought this one turned out kind of cute. And I have I did this one in honor of my honey. She was a cream, which basically when they're puppies they look a caramel color. Okay, so the yarn I'm going to use today is not the Bernat yarn. I will have to find some at the store. But what I did is I got a nice package in the mail from Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. Shout out to her. And thank you for this lovely yarn that she sent me. So what I did is I took a slicker brush that I use on my poodles. I actually own standard poodles, and which you can see on my channel. I basically just floofed it so it has a floofy look. So I'm hoping that that will give it more of a hair look, and then I'll be able to trim it, but we'll see. At any rate, you truly want to use the Bernat or any type of the fluffy yarn is what you want to use. So the type of materials that you need, now you can use the floral yarn. I've even used the thinner yarn and just tripled it up to get the sturdiness that I need. I've also used electrical wire. I think it was 17 gauge on the bigger one that I did, but this is just your general floral yarn. And if you live in an area where you don't have options with stores, some I've seen you can even do it with pipe cleaners that they have in craft sections, even like Dollar General stores have those. Okay, so you want 2 that are going to measure 5 3/4 inches. 5 3/4 inches, and this is for the small standard poodle, and then 1 that is 5 1/2. Now as you see, I have this bent at the top here, so I've kind of pre-bent my head, and as you can see, the head part is a little bit longer than the nose part, and I will bend that together because I want it to be nice and flat before I work on that. And so then this will be the tail, and once I get the felt on it, I will twist that up. And basically you want the tail should be, you know, if you, depending on how you actually like your poodle to look. My poodle, the tail is going to come right up to here, even with the nose, which is kind of like on the back of the head, because you're going to have a little bit of floof on top of that. So at any rate, so to start, I use a 2 by 2 square, not 1 inch by 2 inch, but this is my preference, and you choose whichever measurements you want. On the video that I learned how to do this had 1 inch by 2 inch, but it just didn't work for me. So I used 2 inch by 2 inch, and also she did hers a little bit different. Like she would put this on and then she would put this on. So I put the one that's going to be the legs on. This is basically going to be your legs. So you have your back legs and your front legs. Okay, and so I just put it right smack in the middle. Okay, I don't know. She had it measured at 1/2 inch, but I don't know. It just didn't work for me. So I'm telling you how I'm doing it. So I just basically make it where it's even, because this is front leg and back legs, and then this is your head, and this is going to stick out about 1/2 inch right here. And then that. So we'll put it on one at a time with the glue gun, and you can use fabric glue if you don't want to use glue gun. That's up to you. And if you don't have a glue gun, and you can get a package of glue sticks for like $1 or $2, the dollar store, Dollar General, wherever. And you could take a lighter, or probably use a lighter that's like a long nose lighter, and you can burn it that way. You'll use more of the glue stick using it that way, but I'm just saying in case you don't have a glue gun, you can, do that. Okay, so have this down here at the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glue on, and then I'm going to curl it up like so. Okay, it should be hot enough by now. Just kind of, it's not warmed up. Hang on a second. Alright, this should be warmed up enough. There we go. Well, that was a little much, but anywho's. So right here where you have about an even amount from the front to the back, and then I'm just going to curl this up like so. Alright, so it looks to be about even. If you need to adjust it, do so before it really sets. And if anything's uneven, you can always trim it a tiny bit later with some gardening shears or wire cutters. Okay, so now I'm going to put, this is going to be just about 1/4 of an inch, a little less than 1/2 inch apart. See? And this is going to stick out about 1/2 inch. Okay. Be careful because this is hot. Alright, just going to curl that up like so. Keep this, and you can undo that as well. Just try to keep it apart so that it's not touching, about 1/4 of an inch apart. Alright. Now, pause this. Okay, and so now, just gonna, and don't worry if your wire is lumpy looking, that's okay, because it's gonna be covered up. Just kind of close this up here. Okay, so now these are your legs, this is your tail, you turn up like so, this is your neck, and that's going to bend all the way over and be your head. And these are your little legs. I'm going to turn those down like so. So you see what's happening here. Try to keep the bend right there, that you have the bend even. And you can work on the bend a little bit more later. Okay, so if you want to clip the tail, you can, to whatever length, if you prefer a different length. Actually, people are very picky about the length of their tails. I used to show poodles, and I didn't always go with the status quo on the poodles, and it depends on how you style it, what type of cuts that you use, etc., etc. Some people like it longer, some people like it shorter. Okay, so now we're going to take this and we're going to form and shape the head. Just remember that I need to go get my pliers, you use some, you don't want the nose to be too long. Like that's too long for a nose, right there. That's definitely too long for a nose, as you can see. That's going to be too long. Now some people might want a longer nose. I'm a little picky about the nose and the head proportion, which that's too long. So don't bend it too much. And this is why I double mine up when I'm using floral wires, because these can, when you bend it, if you're going to bend it a lot, it can, you know, risk breaking it. And when you're doubled up, it's a little more sturdy. So I'm going to pause here until I get the link. Okay, so as you can see, this head part is a little bit longer than the nose part. And see where the tail, I'm actually going to trim that because that's a little twisted there, so I'll trim it just a tiny bit there. And this should be, and this is my preference, you may want it a little bit different, it's going to be about even with that, and it's going to have a little bit of a boof right there before, so, and a little boof here, so it'll all balance out in the end. So now you've got the basic shape, and you can trim the legs up if you feel like there's a little bit uneven. There you go. There's your basic shape. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to start taking your felt, and what I do is I measure up to there and I cut about a little tiny bit less than half an inch, right about there. And you're going to do the same method of basically turn it upside down and then just glue it on and roll it onto that, and I'll show you here in just a minute. Now you can pre-measure your felt if you want to. I find it's easier to measure it after I've got it shaped, just in case something doesn't come out exactly right. Now don't worry about if there's a little bit of a metal up here at the top, because you're going to put a flap across here and it's all going to be covered up anyways, so just so you know. Just going to roll it up. So, slide it up if you want to a little bit. By the way, I'm going to be doing a giveaway probably tomorrow evening at 7:30 Oklahoma time. I was going to do it today, but it's Memorial Day, so I don't want to do that on Memorial Day. Okay, there we go. Just kind of pinch it down, make sure it's not, you don't want like a flat look to it. Alright, and then do that on the other 3 legs. Okay, got the 4 legs done, and then you just take a little square piece, maybe about, it's about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. You're going to put that strip on the bottom, and you'll do the same on the front. Again, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect because all this is going to be covered up with yarn. Okay, so now just measure up some felt for the tail and do the same thing with the tail. Now for the nose, there's different ways you can do the nose depending on how you want the nose to look. If you'd rather have a more square look that's even, or you can just take rectangle shape like this and shape it if you find that's easier, or you can take a shape like this that's kind of, I don't know, like a rocket shape, and then you're just going to put it underneath, hot glue it, and then trim it to whatever length that you want. Okay. So, there's its nose. Now I'm going to do the head and the neck. So you just measure up a rectangle piece. This is about 3/4 of an inch in width, about maybe 1/2 an inch in height. And then just roll it on, glue it and roll it on like you did the rest. Remember, don't worry if it's not perfect because it's going to be covered up with yarn. Okay, so now you have the basic frame. So now you're going to do the thickness of the back legs and the undertow, because they have like a barrel chest. So we're going to measure and pad this and the back legs. I'll show you how to do that. So you're going to take a strip like this, narrow strip like this. This is approximately probably about 1/2 an inch. And so you're going to fold this down like so. So the thickened part should go to right about here, which is about 1/2 of the trunk. So you go underneath there. See what I'm doing? Go underneath here. And then you're going to have this part that's just going to be single layered. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Choke that up just a little bit. And then this. Don't have the best scissors. Now you're going to glue with this. You're going to glue this down, and then you're going to glue the part to the under frame where it's just even. So this uneven will be facing you. So I'm going to glue this like so. Tuck that right there where the legs meet the trunk. You want to get it centered. There you go. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. So it's going to be covered up with yarn. It just gives it some padding, and you can even add another layer right there, depending on how thick you want that to be under there. So that way it'll just show that there's a little bit more thickness, like the trunk of the standard poodle is. So you do the same for the legs, and it's up to you on how thick you want that, because afterwards, once you get the yarn on, you're going to be grooming, and you know, grooming is a very objective thing. So that's why I say when it comes to standard poodles, there's so many different haircuts, but if you want it to be thicker right there, and you can add another one, I think that's going to be okay the way it is. And then you do only the back legs like this. Okay, and now it is time to start putting on the yarn. Now where you start is optional, okay? It's not an exact science. I like to start at the back, right here, and I just put a little bit of glue kind of on the underside. Okay, and again, how you glue is, again, not an exact science. That's up to you. Kind of keep my yarn. I go, and how you put it on, which direction you put the yarn in, again, that's up to you, what is comfortable for you. And just kind of glue as you go along. Careful not to burn yourself with hot glue. I kind of maybe push it down a little bit. And however thick you want to put it on depends on you, depends on how much yarn you have. So when I get back down there, I'll show you what it looks like. When you get to the bottom, just snip it off. bottom of the leg, just snip it off. And just sort of tuck it. Now, before I start on the next leg, I'm going to go across on this side here, the top of that leg, and I'm going to wrap over here. I'm going to glue that, and then I'm going to come down under here and then start my wrapping. I might go back up over here and back down like so. And how you wrap, again, is up to you. I'm just giving you an idea. Okay. By the way, clue word, Poodle. I do clue words. If you comment clue words, you get entries for my giveaway. I'll be dropping some more in this video. So hear that, that's what that's about. Okay, now, if you think it's kind of bulky looking, don't worry, because you're going to be grooming. You know, poodles get very big as bears when they have a lot of hair. So you're going to trim this, and that's why the fuzzy yarn is really, really the best, because you can wrap it and then you can shape it. That's the important part about poodles, making poodles, is using that fuzzy yarn that you can shape once you're done. This has a little bit of fuzz, so just so you know, when you look at the video in the description of mine and you can see the type of yarn she used, you can tell what I'm talking about as far as the ability to shape. And I'm going to bend it just a little bit forward, like back feet. Okay, there we go. So you kind of get that. Can't see it yet because you haven't shaped it and groomed it yet. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do the tail. There's the tail, and I'm going to take some of this fuzz and ball it up, and then I will trim it after I get done. Glue that on there. Just drop that down on there. Have a nice bushy, because you want, when you shape it, I want this part to be trimmed down, and so there's a little palm on the top. That's the general. Not everybody, again, haircuts are so different on poodles, and it's up to you what you want. So this, I will trim this down, and this will be boofier on top before I'm done with it. And I'll give you an example so you can see it's thinner. I don't know if the camera's capturing that or not. Thinner on the top. Again, this isn't the best yarn for that, but when you have the nice fuzzy yarn, Bernat yarn, that's the best to work with, because it is really something that you can shape so much better. That's the best yarn. Let's see, clue word, fuzzy yarn. Okay, so next I'm going to start back here, and I'm going to just roll underneath all the way to the top till I get here. And again, however you wrap on there, where you do next, which order you do is optional. I'm just showing you how I did mine. Okay. Now an easier way is you can bend the legs down a little bit, but you don't want to be too much, bending it too much, because do remember it is just aluminum, depending on what kind of wire you're using. So you don't want to bend it too much to where it breaks. Although it is pretty sturdy, especially since I doubled it up. Okay, so I've done the trunk, the back legs, and the tail. So now and it's best to use sharp scissors. Mine are a little dull. I might actually go get my other scissors, especially when you're grooming, trimming it up, because this will pull. Since this is fluffed out or whatever, you definitely want as sharp scissors as you can get. Alright, so now bend these forward just a little bit so that I can now wrap the front, and I'll do the front like I did the back and kind of go under the legs, catch those hinges, wrap around like that. Careful not to get if you get a little glue on your fingers, to get it stuck to the fur. Okay, so now I've got all legs, the trunk, and the tail. Now we're going to do the neck, the head, and the nose. So basically, just kind of wrap starting around here, work your way up, and I'd stop here, and then I'd do this, come up behind, wrap around, and then I'd keep the nose very light because the nose is going to be shaped down on a standard poodle. That's the standard for grooming. Okay, and for the head, what I did is created a little ball of boof since I don't have the Bernat fuzzy yarn, and then I'll just trim that down. And I will probably, for the nose, of course this will be trimmed down on the face. Take some tiny sharp scissors, trim that down as much as you can because standard poodle's faces are trimmed down. And then I'm just going to glue some fur onto this and put a little black ball of yarn for the nose. Okay, and if you don't have any beads, what you can do is just use some yarn, just tie it in a knot and cut it, burn the ends with the lighter. I recommend putting on maybe some tweezers, and then I put a little boof on the top here. So now it's time to do the ears, bluebird ears. Okay, now to make the ears, so I'm going to take about 2 inches, fold that in half. So this top part you're going to wrap, you're going to tie it at the top once you get, so you're just going to sort of make loops, tie the top, and then you're going to cut the bottom of the loops. And you may want it longer, you may want it shorter. Again, subjective. Pinch them together. It's pretty floofy, and that should be sufficient. So I'm going to trim this off. Tie a knot at the top. You can also just glue it at the top. It's up to you. I prefer to tie it at the top, just as long as it's not too big of a knot. So then you're going to glue this right about even with the eyes on the side. And then you're going to groom it, tidy it up. Now I'm going to glue a little bit underneath. I'll just lift this up gently and then put some glue underneath just to kind of help secure it a little better. And then add your little bow. So there's a little bow. So now I'm going to do the other side. Okay, so now it is time to groom the poodle. And again, the Bernat fuzzy yarn is the best to use. It's just neater, you have more ability to shape it. So now, groom your poodle. What I like to do is just sort of trim it down, just sort of, I like to make sure that this tail is thinner and closer to the bone, if you will, so that this boof stands out. Same on the top. Just kind of tidy that up on the top of the head. And again, the grooming is objective. Clue word, groom. There's my little caramel latte poodle. Isn't that cute? Working with what I have yarn wise. If you're interested in my other playlists, I'll put a link to my other tutorial playlist. I do crafts, I do acrylic paintings, I do crochet. I think I even have some finger crochet in there, but I also have some like I think I did a tutorial on how to use a knitting loom. I did a hybrid crochet. I also have a crochet playlist that has everybody else's, so if you do tutorials, let me know and I'll add you to that playlist. If you're interested in my giveaway, I'll put the link to my clue word, all the videos with clue words in them. You get 1 entry per clue word, and if you just comment the clue word, nothing else, just say clue word and then whatever the word is, and all comments are held for approval. So they won't be seen until the day of the giveaway, and you'll get another entry on top of that if you just comment a regular clue word on that video. and I give cash via PayPal, so you have to have a PayPal account. Sometimes I do gift cards, and I will be doing a gift card in June's giveaway. I will be doing cash via PayPal, gift card, Walmart gift card, and 2 Robux winners. And if you don't like Robux, you can get extra entries towards the next giveaway. And I also give away extra entries for the next giveaway. But even if you win extra entries, you still have to comment at least 1 clue word to be entered. And obviously, the more entries you have, the better chance you have of winning. It's just statistics. So yeah, thank you for stopping in. I'll add another clue word form down here. Oh, I also give away crochet makes. In the playlist, you'll see my other drawings and how I do them, and I also do bingo with you win PayPal, Robux, and extra entries for the giveaway. But I'm probably not going to be doing a bingo this time, just because, you know, it's holiday weekend and whatnot. I'm gonna go out to the lake. Doggies. Usually have my boat out by this time, but I'm just not able to do that right now. See, I kind of like to have that palm on the top really have some shape there. Now, another thing, so we're not exactly done, because you've got to do the collar and the leash, and I'll show you how to do that. For the collar, you can just use various things. I just use this ribbon and I trim the width of it. See, I trim the width of it and lift up the ears so you don't get that caught in your fur, and just hot glue gun that on there. There's so many different things you can use for the collar. And for the chain, there's so many different things you can use for a chain. You can actually use a bow chain or crafting chain, or this actually came off of a gift bag, and I just think it's such a pretty lime green. So I snip the end of that, and what I'll do is I'll just take and glue that to that, so it's like a little handle. Just kind of hold that down on there. Now again, this is ideal for just like a novelty little decoration, but you know, they're also can be used for doll houses, Barbie dolls, just for children's toys. But you know, you just kind of keep in mind it's kind of a, I would say a little bit fragile, just because the legs and stuff are made of aluminum. So you don't want a little kid that's gonna be like, oh, you know, and then have one of the aluminum break. So just, you know, have them be mindful. It is, be gentle with it. But it does make for a cute little doll size doggy. Okay, and so to, again, you can just use a chain that actually wraps around the neck. I just sort of just glue this on there. So this is just more for like a novelty decoration. But again, if you're going to sell them like at a craft store, you want to use the best quality stuff that you have. That would be the most durable. Keep that in mind. Now that's it for this video. I don't want this to be